Marvel is getting savage for changing the name of its Thunderbolts film to the new Avengers immediately after the film bombed in its opening weekend. Roll this up over at fandompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. So let's get into these numbers for this opening weekend. The film only grossed $74.3 million domestically. It added another $86.2 million internationally for a global gross of just $160.5 million. The domestic numbers were below the projections from box office analyst Sean Robbins. He had long-range projection of $76 million 5 weeks out. He had actually increased it to $81.3 million the week ahead of this film's release. Clearly, it did not do that at all, $74.3 million, so it did not hit any of those numbers that Robbins projected. It was, however, within the range of trade outlets Variety and Deadline, and it also outperformed the Hollywood Reporter's 70 to 73 million projection range. So it was in the ranges for the trades, but and it actually outperformed Hollywood Reporter, which said it was to do 70 to 73 million. But it's still really bad, and my good buddy OMB Reviews noted this. He says this is the second worst opening weekend for a Marvel Cinematic Universe film ever when factoring in inflation. The only film that performed worse was The Marvels, which grossed $46.1 million in its opening weekend back in 2023. He also shared his estimations that the film also had the second lowest number of tickets sold, with just 5.4 million in its opening weekend, of course, using a $14 average price per ticket. He compared that to Captain America Brave New World, which only sold 6.3 million, and Eternals, which sold 6.8 million. Later in his video, he noted that the film was unlikely to break even based on the estimated production budget of 180 million, which means the film has to gross at least 540 million to break even. And we know that these Marvel films typically have much higher production budgets than what is initially announced when they are released. We've seen this because of the work over by Carolyn Reed at Forbes, who discovers the production companies that the Walt Disney Company Marvel Studios are using over in the UK. Now, obviously, certain films, it's going to be a lot more difficult to find that if they're not being filmed in the UK, because the UK requires the studios to publish that information. So, following this dismal performance, Marvel decided to unveil a new name for the film. On X, Marvel Entertainment revealed the new name change, posting Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts. The new Avengers is now playing only in theaters. So I can already tell people are going to be like, oh, well, they always had the asterisk. You should have known that asterisk was already there. And okay, well, that's great that there's an asterisk. You should be changing the name of the film. And people just absolutely roasted this because it's just so stupid. It's so stupid on a number of different levels. First off, these characters are not the new Avengers from the comics. They weren't the Thunderbolts, which is the big complaint that I was always having. Why are you making a movie called the Thunderbolts without any of the actual Thunderbolts in the movie, or at least the original ones? Obviously, you look at some of the more recent comics, they knew that this was coming, so they decided to put some of these people in those comics so they can be like, look, we did it in the comics. It's okay in the comics. It's like, no. Why not just do the actual Thunderbolts storyline, which is a good storyline. It's an actual decent storyline from the comics, but Marvel doesn't do that anymore. And other people did not like this. I mean, here's this guy, Crashline, says, so they weren't the Thunderbolts. Now they're also not the new Avengers. Just like, name them something entirely different for the MCU. Why even use these names of existing franchises if they aren't those things? Is this just to irritate fans of the comics? So like, I think he puts it a little bit better than I just did. And he's right. What is the point of this? Is it just to irritate fans of the comics? And I think there is something to that, right? We talk about how these companies are all about trying to humiliate people. And I think there is something to that. I think he's onto something there. More people said this. This guy says, they are now trying to change the name of the movie. It is bombing so hard. Omni-Man would have one-shotted all of them in 4 minutes or less. I feel like this should have been done as a subtitle instead of a complete rebrand. Thunderbolts, the new Avengers. What was the one that DC did? It was like the Harley Quinn movie. They tried to relabel the Harley Quinn movie after it bombed in theaters as well. I think it was the Harley Quinn one. It might have been. I think they renamed it to like Harley Quinn because it was supposed to be. I forget what it was supposed to be. But I remember DC had to do that too. Logan Fletcher says, now that I know the ending, I don't have to go pay to see the movie. Thanks, Marvel. And that you'll see that complaint a lot, that they're spoiling their own movie after the opening weekend. Jack Beer says, these Disney Plus rejects, y'all must be desperate. Kosi says, you didn't need to spoil it. I thought this was a joke, and then I went to a movie ticket site, Cinemark in my case, and it's real. Really? Renaming the movie for no good reason to cause confusion? Did you really think this would make the movie sell better? Because it worked so well with Captain America 4. You're really going to spoil the coolest thing, then keep Taskmaster in the poster as if she appears in any trailer footage, huh? This marketing would have been amazing if they didn't start changing the title 2 days after it came to theaters. Give people at least a couple weeks to see it before you spoil your own movie. Juice here says, I feel like I don't even have to watch the movie now. That's pretty much the case with pretty all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, right? There is no FOMO whatsoever. Who cares what's going on with these movies? Who cares what's going on with the show? There's nothing really interesting about them. There's nothing that makes me want to go see them, mainly because they're just being used as tools of pieces of propaganda for the most part. And the stories are just absolutely terrible. I don't feel like I've missed out on absolutely anything since I stopped watching Marvel films after Endgame. I don't feel like I've missed anything whatsoever. I have zero fear of missing out on any of this stuff. And I had watched all of the films up until then, and I watched them repeatedly. Like, I still think that the first Thor film is massively underrated and has a great story, great themes, with Thor obviously being stripped of his abilities, of his powers, of his title, etc., because of his pride. And he has to learn humility the hard way. He has to learn what it really means to wear the crown, that there is a heavy responsibility that entails, and really good film that I think is highly underrated. Sex here says, this is the stupidest marketing campaign. I want to see Thunderbolts, not the new Avengers. Well, you knew you weren't going to get Thunderbolts because they had announced who was going to be there, and none of them were the actual Thunderbolts. None of them are like actually the masters of evil, pretending to be these heroes, right? Star Wars Escape Pod says, what the heck? Normally I go opening weekend, but for this one I made an exception to someone so someone could join me, and spoiled. Thanks, Marvel. So I mean, there's lots of this stuff. A lot of people mainly calling it out for spoilering the film, but we'll see. I definitely feel like this is a ploy to try to get people into theaters like, oh, it's a new Avengers film. You gotta go see it. It's an Avengers movie, because the Avengers films have obviously been the ones that have made the most money in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the grosses and stuff like that. And I think it just shows how desperate this company is, and they realize that the films that they are making are clearly bleeding viewers. The ticket sales are constantly down. As OMB Reviews here says, it is the second lowest number of tickets sold in an opening weekend based on his prediction or his estimations. And that's the lowest was the Marvels. I mean, and that was 2023. Captain America Brave New World did not do well either. 6.3. Eternals did 6.8. I think that was 2021. So they haven't really done well since Endgame. I mean, obviously you have like the exceptions. You have the Spider-Man film, but could you really classify that as a Marvel Cinematic Universe film? I think there's a little bit different there with Spider-Man, and then you can say like the Black Panther movie and then the Thor movie. But I think those were also still kind of living off of the past, right? And those were also main characters. They weren't the D-list characters here that they are putting into this film. But let me know what you guys make of Marvel changing Thunderbolts to the new Avengers, and then all these people just totally roasting them for that change. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always speak the truth.
Why would you be afraid of the people? Why are you not afraid of God instead of man?